On the 7th of January 2025, it was a normal day in Woodage where people were on the bus trying to go to work, college or school, and Kelyan was at the back of the bus on the top deck. Moments later, his killers also got on, armed with knives, and made their way to the top deck. Upon noticing Kelyan was there, it was said in court that one of them smiled before starting to stab him repeatedly. They tried to stab him 28 times, but they succeeded 8, and one of these proved fatal and ended his life. Passengers then flagged down police officers after Kelyan was stabbed. He was travelling on a bus on Woodage Church Street, and the police began performing CPR before the paramedics arrived. Sadly, he died a short time later. An investigation commenced and detectives quickly recovered the CCTV and witnessed the two teenagers getting on board and making their way to the top deck. Seconds later, they produced machetes and started to attack him in a violent ambush, and CCTV recorded the 27 other attempts to wound him. Audio from the bus highlighted the terror of the incident as people screamed and tried to flee, and the pair then fled the scene, and police traced their movements on CCTV to where they discarded the murder weapon into a river. Following a manhunt, both were arrested in Outcry during the early hours of the 15th of January, and this week they've both been convicted of Kelyan's murder. The two boys are 16 years old and they can't be named for legal reasons, but they were both sentenced at the Old Bailey to a minimum of 15 years and 10 months for the murder of Kelyan. They received an additional 12-month sentence for possession of a knife, which will run concurrent. The teenagers pled guilty to the murder of Kelyan on Friday the 23rd of May. Detective Chief Inspector Sarah Lee, whose team led the investigation, said this case has been deeply troubling for everybody involved, and especially Kelyan's family and loved ones. The harsh reality in London is that violence disproportionately affects young black men and boys. The fact we're seeing so many teenagers Kelyan's age dying should be the forefront of everyone's minds, and every politician and policymaker, and everyone that wants the children growing up in London to have a better life. Marie Bokassa, who's Kelyan's mother, said, "My child had a name, it was Kelyan. He also had a future. He had a heartbeat full of hope, that life is no longer with us, and that moment of violence that lasted seconds, but the consequences were eternal. They didn't just take his life, they shattered an entire family, and they buried a future, and they left me a mother without my son." And that is the raw reality of what occurred that day. And thank you to Dave Nathan as well for covering the scene at Crime Scene Images to bring you the news that matters. You can catch the original coverage of this story as well. I'll leave a link in the description. And send your stories to scarcitystudios@gmail.com to be featured on the channel. In some other news coming from Ilford in East London on the 23rd of July, there was a murder on Southwark Road, Ilford. It occurred in the early hours of the morning where a 30-year-old man was fatally stabbed at a residential address, and the incident was reported to police at approximately 2:09 a.m. Emergency services including paramedics attended the scene and attempted to save the victim, who had been stabbed multiple times. Despite their best efforts, he was pronounced dead at the scene. The police launched a murder investigation led by detectives at the Specialist Crime North Unit. Early inquiries suggest the incident was isolated and the victim and the perpetrators were believed to have known each other. A crime scene was established on Southwark Road, and forensic examinations, house-to-house inquiries and CCTV analysis was initiated to gather evidence. 5 individuals were arrested on suspicion of murder, 2 men aged 27 and 29 and 3 women aged 29, 30 and 54. No formal charges have been confirmed yet, but the victim's next of kin have been informed and have been supported by specially trained police. The victim has been identified as Gurmak Gary Singh, known to his friends as Gary. He was a 30-year-old British Sikh man, and the Metropolitan Police stated that he died from a stab wound to the thigh. Following the post-mortem results, Detective Chief Inspector Joanna York said she expressed her condolences and our thoughts are with the victim's family at this difficult time. An incident of this nature sends shockwaves through the local community, and the police presence will be increased to reassure everybody. As said before, the police arrested 5 individuals, and the latest update is that Amardeep Singh, 27 years old from Southwark Road, has been charged with murder and is being held in custody. Trial date is set for January the 5th next year. 4 other people, a 29-year-old man and 3 women, who were arrested on suspicion of murder, have been released on bail until October 2025 while the inquiries continue. So thank you to Dave Nathan and Crime Scene Images for the coverage from the scene, and my condolences to the family of Gary, and we'll definitely keep you updated on the outcome of that trial next year. For this next story, we're going to go to Southwark, where two men have lost their life. A murder investigation was launched following the death of the two men after police were called at 1 p.m. on Monday the 28th of July 2025. They attended to reports that multiple people had been assaulted at a business unit in Long Lane SE1. Police and ambulance service attended the scene and treated 4 people for stab wounds. Despite the best efforts of paramedics, a 58-year-old man died at the scene and 3 other men were taken to hospital, where a 27-year-old man later died also. A man in his 30s remains in hospital with injuries that are not believed to be life-threatening. Another man in his 30s has been detained in connection with the incident and remains in a life-threatening condition in hospital. A crime scene remains in place and officers continue to investigate the circumstances of the deaths. Detective Chief Superintendent Emma Bond, who's leading the investigation, said, "Our investigation is in the very early stages and we are working to understand the full circumstances of this shocking incident. At this point, we do not believe it's terror related and there is no further risk to the public. There will be a heavy police presence in the area throughout today and we'd encourage anyone with information to speak to officers, including the Met, by any means." The latest update in this investigation is that a 31-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder following the double murder in Southwark. The man from Hackney, who initially was detained in connection with the incident, was arrested on the 28th of July. He remains in hospital in a non-life-threatening condition. The 2 victims have since been identified by police as 27-year-old Brendan McMillan, who died at the scene, and his 58-year-old father, Terry McMillan, from Chislehurst in Bromley, and sadly he died shortly after arriving in hospital. Their next of kin have been made aware and are being supported by specially trained police. The incident took place, the police have confirmed, at a business premises, and they are aware of speculation that are saying that somebody who was responsible was from a nearby hotel, but the police have said this is not the case. So a lot of speculation and rumours going around, and of course we want to send our condolences to the family of the father and son that have lost their lives in this tragic incident, and we're definitely going to follow this story and keep you updated throughout it, and please pay your respects in the comments. I really appreciate you joining me for these updates. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Don't forget to follow on social media as well at Scarcity Studios on Telegram, TikTok, Twitter and Instagram, and I'll be back again shortly with the latest updates.